weekend that they were seeing some kind of white phantom thing that was like lurking around the Bull Creek in that area. So there was a lot of different strange activity growing up where I lived in those backwoods back in the time. And then another story was when I was in my early 20s and when I was married to my first wife, and we went camping on her dad's property, which was right along Bull Creek too, but it was actually on Center Road, if you ever heard of that, off of W Highway.
Yeah.
And so we camped on his back property on a bluff overlooking, and we were in a tent, and we were sleeping one night, and we kept hearing what sounded like something banging on T-posts. You know how you're hammering them into the ground, like that pound, pound, pound sound, that metal hit metal? And we were just like, what the heck is this? And we had a dog with us. He was a black chow named Teddy. And he kept barking and growling. And whatever this thing was kept circling our tent like within like a 160-degree angle, like kind of in the form of a triangle. Like he kept going back and forth, whatever this thing was. And every time we'd shine our flashlight out the tent to see what it was, it would stop banging on whatever it was. And we feel that even to this day that if we didn't have that dog with us, whatever it was might have tried to kill us. That was the most terrifying thing that I've ever encountered, but we never could see it. But this lasted, I don't know, a good 30, 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then, so the next morning, we got up and looked around for tracks and to see if we seen anything or broken branches or anything, but we didn't see no trail, any sign of anything or any hair or fibers or anything that was left behind.
Yeah.
But later on, I got on the internet and Googled those sounds, banging on T-posts, what it sounded like. And it came up that was actually been reports of other people have heard that, and it's been related to Bigfoot sightings.
Did you smell anything? Do you remember?
No, I didn't smell anything. It was a cold night, and the only thing I could really smell was the cold air and the smoke from our campfire that we had extinguished. So we didn't
Yeah.
smell anything like crazy.
I've heard from Dave Spinks that he's stinky. Not Dave Spinks is stinky. Bigfoot is stinky. And he smells musky. So that's what he said. It's just kind of. He said he could smell him from quite a distance away. So that's why I asked, so random things that I remember from conversations. So,
right.
So when you've been in the woods, have you ever had an experience that said to you, maybe I shouldn't be doing this?
Yeah, there actually is an old cemetery not too far from my parents' house back in the woods. It's called Chase Cemetery. And now I think I know why they call it that, because I've never been in such a terrifying feeling, and I was real young at the time when this happened. I was, probably late teens, early 20s maybe, and it's just a little country cemetery. You have to hike off of a dirt road and then get to it, and I went in there one time, and this black figure, I don't know what it was, chased me out. Until that day, I never returned.
So you thinking about going back now?
Man, maybe now that I'm older, and I might check it out if I'm back that way.
Take a weapon.
Yeah, whatever. Definitely, whatever it was something supernatural or whatnot. But that cemetery wasn't always there when I grew up as a kid. I lived down there for since 1987, and that cemetery wasn't over there. It was a fairly newer one, but it was like way back in the woods to get to it. So these spirits or whatever were still restless, and they didn't like me in there. So hence the name Chase Cemetery, chase you out.
Ron said something to me during the break about paranormal, and I want to, during our next break, I'm going to ask you some questions about that before we do anything live, just to make sure that we're on the same page before we start that line of questioning, just so that you'll know. But if I was to build a bug out pack or a bug out bag, what would be 5 things that everybody should have with them? Or even like today. Today's a day that it's snowing and I'm going out, and I live 30 miles from the nearest town. What are 5 things I should have in my car should I have to get out and walk someplace, or I have to wait for somebody to come and get me? And it might be 5 or 6, maybe 8 hours before somebody comes to get me.
Well, this is also goes under that rule, the 5 C's of survival. You need cordage, cutting tool, combustion device, cover, and a container. Are the 5 main things you need to survive. I'm saying cordage is something so you can tie stuff with, you can build shelter with. Cutting tool, a knife is the most critical, most important tool in survival, because you can cut wood with it, you can process game with it, and you can do camp chores with it, And then a combustion device such as, lighter, matches, flint and steel, ferro rod, magnesium fire starter, such and such, so that you can be able to, cook your food and stay warm. And then cover, you need something like a tarp. You could have a tarp in your car, would be great to have, or put in a bag. And because you need cover so you can have shelter. Shelter is a very primary thing you must have to survive. And a container, something to put water in. Because you can live 3 days without water, but you can live 3 weeks without food.
Right.
It also goes to my rule that I come up with, so I call it the FFWS. The 4 main things you need to survive is food, fire, water, and shelter.
In that order, right? Or
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Yeah, like right now, if I was outside right now, the first thing I would want is either shelter or fire.
Right. Yeah, especially as cold as it is. So, and if you're in a winter situation and you don't want to eat snow dehydrates you. But if you have abundant snow, say you're in Canada and you're stranded, you have unlimited amount of water because you have tons of snow. So what you can do is boil that snow into water.
You can also make it into a shelter.
Yeah, you could. You could make an igloo. You could make like a snowbank type hut. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. And if you pat down snow really well, it's very well insulated. If you can pack it really well. That's why Eskimos, they've perfected that as their primary shelter in the Arctic.
But it takes so much energy to do that. But maybe less energy than it would take to do something else in the wintertime anyway.
Right. Building shelters and doing all that, you're burning a lot of calories. So you're gonna want to stay hydrated. You're gonna want to keep your nutrients in you because it's a lot of work. Trust me. When you're out there building stuff, it takes more time to do it than, versus a machine doing it.
So now we're going to go to the bug out pack. So if I needed to create a bug out pack, I probably should get myself something to create a fire real quick.
Yep.
Maybe, I could go right to Cabela's and probably spend $30 and get what I need and be ready to go. And it'll all fit right in a little Ziploc bag and be able to go right in my trunk, right?
Right. You also got to think ahead too, especially on your combustion devices. Like, what if your matches get wet? What if your lighter gets wet? So you also need to keep other options of combustion devices on hand, such as a magnesium fire starter and a ferro rod.
And I've seen those recently, waterproof ones that you can wear as a necklace or use on your key ring, and they're like $15, and you unscrew it and you can light it just like a match. Start a fire in even wind, which is amazing.
Yeah, you can. You can even take the 90 degrees off of the spine of a knife, and you strike that ferro rod, and you get sparks, and you just put it into some dry tinder or whatever. It's also good to carry like cotton balls, and because cotton is very combustible, as well as dryer lint. I collect dryer lint and put in my bug out bag because it's highly flammable. That stuff catches on fire like that.
Another thing that women always have in their purse is a tampon. They're perfect.
That'll work too.
Because they're already in a waterproof container. I'm not saying that, I don't have one, but it's with my daughter in the diaper bag, there's some in the diaper bag all the time. And you think about it, you could probably find one anytime. And I was watching, Dual Survival, and that's what they had. It happened to be in the backpack that they had. And like they said, it was in a waterproof container or a waterproof package, so it was perfect and it was ready to go. But yeah, when I was in Girl Scouts, we used. Hey, you know what? It's time for a break. So come back. We got a 2-minute break. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we're talking to J.C. Phillips. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm Denise Pridemore. I'm talking to J.C. Phillips. And what we're gonna talk a little bit about his past in the paranormal. And Ron